Ready to go?
Good to go.
All right, so we'll just ease it in here. Yes. Normally when we start, we're chit-chatting. Just gotta get my bearings here.
Your
All right.
lipstick matches the rosé.
I know, today's pink day.
Yeah.
Today we're breaking all the
thumbnail.
rules.
Easter.
we're breaking a lot of rules because vape is demonetized on YouTube. Normally we're a dry show, but we'll make an exception
Today I'm
this
drinking
time.
And it's
Stonewood.
also Easter holidays,
and it's
guys.
Easter
Get
holiday.
pink, get crazy, get wild.
Why is Easter pink?
I don't know. Pink, green, whatever. All the colors. You're green. I'm
I saw this
black.
funny
Black
meme.
person.
It was like
that's
Jesus died for everyone's sins, and how do Christians celebrate? And this is kids picking up Easter eggs in the lawn. But welcome everyone to the MidYouth Universe Saga series. Today I'll be moderating. I'm Steve, and I'm here with Phil, Sam,
As usual.
and special guest Tom, proprietor of the vape shop. We'll jump into that in a little bit. So we're here in Sai Pun in Hong Kong, this beautiful venue, doing our first away game. Normally we're broadcasting from Saiwan Ho, Saiwan Bro, shacked up in my flat with no windows, which I can't get over.
You have no.
There's no
You do
windows
in
in
the
that room.
bedrooms.
So I was working at home for 48 hours. And you know how the layout is. There's no windows in the living
Center.
room.
Yeah,
right?
in the
So, like,
center.
48 hours indoors was actually really got to my head.
Wow.
I was like looking
Wow.
for excuses to run downstairs to 7-Eleven and get a drink.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
I know I did. But it was intense. That was I never knew how much not having windows could affect your psyche.
Oh.
But yeah.
But what's the reason for that? You don't have a view. It's like in the middle of buildings around it.
There used to be a building on the one side, and they tore it down. And there's no window on my side. You can see where the building was separated, but it looks like somebody else in the building actually had
Right.
windows installed.
Yeah.
But it's a huge deal.
Well, why didn't you run up to your rooftop? You have a lovely rooftop.
Gorgeous.
I did.
Could you
Oh.
work from the rooftop?
I
Could
guess
have worked from the rooftop.
we could have. But I didn't. I don't know why, because I had to like monitor what was going on until we were working on editing content. But we're here. It's the Easter holiday. It's a 5-day weekend. So today's actually Monday, the same day we normally shoot, except none of us had to actually go to work or anything. So we're doing a mid-afternoon shoot.
Except for Tom, since we're here.
Except for Tom, we're at Tom's
we brought
shop.
the party to Tom's shop, right?
The beauty of retail, right? Everyone else's holiday is your busy days at work.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let's just, what's new with you guys? We'll start off as usual. What's new? Instead of today, I learned, Phil.
Well, as you know, we talk experience, not expertise. We talk expertise, not experience. Is that how it
We
goes?
talk
We
experience,
talk
not
experience,
expertise.
not
We're
expertise,
still
bro.
getting used to
Come
that
on.
tagline.
It's the Uncle Phil's brown nectar. I just got a new gaming console, and I discovered that my old gaming consoles paid for almost half of it. So yeah,
Nice.
it's fun. I like it. I like it a
love
lot.
it.
PS5.
I got a PS5. I don't want to flex on these guys. Like, come on.
You just did. You just did a humble
I
flex.
said new gaming console. I didn't say it was a PS5.
But you just said it
He said it.
twice.
Why can't I drop the name?
I
PS5's
got
not
PS5.
sponsoring. Sony.
Because you still can't get them, right? Did you do one of the raffle things? Or
I know someone.
It's actually a funny story how it happened, but I don't know if Phil wants to.
No. Someone I met recently. She helped me out. She helped me get the.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now you're gaming an 8K?
Gaming in 8K, and yeah. It's good. It's good times. It's good times.
I think it's interesting. He got a new game console. I fostered a puppy. Shout out to HK Paws. I've got Skippy. He is like a 2-month-old, amazing, adorable, devil spawn in the evening child. He is adorable. So you guys adopt, don't buy.
It's
I
adopt,
think
don't shop.
adopt, don't
Yeah.
shop, don't
Rhymes.
buy. Same thing.
No,
I don't rhyme. English is my third language. Yeah, but I think Tom agrees, right? You like Skippy, I think.
Skippy for your new pup?
Mm.
I think that suits him, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
Got a little skip in his step, for sure.
He's got a skip in his somewhere else as well.
Same color as a kangaroo, so
Yeah.
Named after the peanut butter, right?
It is a peanut butter. Well,
Shout
they're
out
going to name
Skippy.
him after me. I was like, I'm already confused. I don't need people calling him Sam. And I keep turning around thinking they're calling me.
Whose idea was that? That's a terrible idea.
Well, no, because HA Paws, when they adopt dogs, they like to take the initial of the district that they rescued him from.
Okay.
So he was from Xiaoquan. So they were gonna name him Sammy or Sam, and I was like, Skippy, it is. I want to name him Rusty actually.
My cats were named before I adopted them. They were named Curry and Wine. So we changed that really quick.
Oh.
That name didn't curry any favor, so you whined the house.
Oh, here it goes.
Puns already.
Lovely dog.
Yeah.
Before we jump into Tom, because everything's new about Tom, my announcement: new haircut, new do.
Wow, look at
Looking
that.
I needed a haircut, and I just figured, you know what, it's time for a change. I had clippers around, so I asked Janice, my girlfriend, just do it, just shave it off, and she was really nervous. But yeah, we just did it. It's got a little bit uneven. Don't look too much.
It looks
It's fine. Wearing a
fine.
cap.
It's fine.
Looks
I gotta
good.
get it. I gotta get it shaped up.
Lined up. Yeah, you
Lined
gotta
up.
get fade, man.
I gotta get a fade.
You gotta ask Uncle Phil for the tips from where to go for that.
And I got a haircut recently as well. Looks good. Actually, they cut it down as well. So
Trimming the
thanks
bushes.
for noticing.
Trimming the
Looks
bushes.
fresh. Yeah.
So that's what's new.
What's
the
new in
homies
our
on the
life?
show. We'll head into the main event now. So we're here at the vape shop with Tom McRae. Tom with a TH.
Thanks for having
as
me.
I was corrected by mutual friends of ours. I had you in WhatsApp as Tom TOM.
Okay.
And other Tom Ho was like, he likes Tom with TH.
Yeah.
So
TH.
I had to
Nailed
text-
his
when I was
accent.
like sending you text, I had to like double check if I was using the H or not.
Right.
And then you're the owner of the vape shop.
Yep.
And how did you get into it, man? How did this start?
So I was vaping myself at the time. I used to smoke quite a lot, and it got me off cigarettes. So I was smoking for about 5 years, and then I moved to Hong Kong and couldn't find any good shops to go to. So I always knew I wanted to start a business of some sort. Didn't know it'd be the vaping thing, but just saw that gap in the market and started small. Just learned how to make a website when I had my old job, and kind of expanded as the business grew.
What was the old job?
Musician.
Oh, musician.
Yeah.
And then you guys actually know each other.
From when you used to play
Yeah.
at that hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. We had some fun times.
It was great, man.
Some
Yeah.
fun times. Yeah. It was
How many
good.
years
We-
has it been here?
So I moved here for that about 6.5 years ago. So we were doing like hotel residencies.
Oh, wow.
So we were here for a year with that gig. I met these guys, and then I kind of got sick of living out of a suitcase after a few years. It was a fun job, but lifestyle-wise, quite a lot of partying and drinking and stuff was just wearing me down. And not much room to grow personally. It was either like, okay, cool, you're a musician, but that's it, even if you're doing it for like 20, 30 years. Right?
So you're more grounded now? The partying's over?
Yeah, party days are over, man. Kinda-
Fully over?
Not
Like
fully.
fully
Yeah, it's
over.
never-
No,
Come on.
It's never fully.
Every time I come in here, I'm becoming a customer. There's always like a little party going on. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like a party because you got the TV. We'll have to get the setup on B-Reel, but you got the TV, you got PS4, not 5 yet. You got these lovely couches, you got some music, you got this awesome setup. This was primed for podcasting and recording, so it's an amazing opportunity. And then, so you founded this in, because you don't have it established on your sign.
Been mid 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when we made the website, and then grew into a very small shop. As you know, rent prices in Hong Kong aren't
Yeah.
very low.
Oh.
So started very small and just kind of grew. We moved into this spot about 3.5 years ago.
And
wow.
then you have a location in
Yeah.
TST as well.
Yep.
So when did that one open?
That one's about 2.5 years.
2.5
So
years.
yeah, we had quite a lot of people coming over from Kowloon. Kept saying that wasn't very convenient for them, especially to have this much space on the ground floor without paying too much. So we opened the TST one. It's more of a local crowd. People are living over in Kowloon.
Do you only have 2 venues, or is it?
2 for now, yeah. We used to have a third, which we closed. There was some regulation threats, like the government wanted to ban vaping altogether in Hong Kong. So,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's over now, thankfully. But at that time, our lease was up. So we're like, do we risk signing on for a few more years
Yeah.
in a new space?
Yeah.
And in case that happens, that'd be bad, but it didn't. So we'll look at opening up, expanding now, and that's gone.
Interesting. So can you actually elaborate more about the whole regulation? Why did they change their mind? Like, why is it saying, there's no movements on it, but then why did they stay open and,
Yeah, so it's always been a bit of a threat to a lot of bigger corporations like tobacco companies, pharmaceutical companies. If people switch to this, which is all sort of independent companies, it kind of eats out a lot of the sales of the nicotine patches or gums or cigarettes. So I think it's a lot to do with sort of taxing and regulating as far as tobacco products go. But the government, they tried to ban everything. It's always been like nicotine's banned. So that's kind of the part that helps people with the cravings. Thankfully, LegCo denied that ban, which is good.
Good for
Otherwise,
you.
it would have been a total no selling. We would have had to shut down. No importing anything. So
So there's complications around it, obviously, and as an entrepreneur in general, there's a lot of complications around starting a business. So you kind of like had double whammies, probably starting a business in general, obviously renting a place, dealing with these regulations. What were sort of like the biggest challenges you had from turning your vision for this into a reality?
Thankfully, when we started, it was quite easy. Hong Kong's a pretty welcoming place to foreigners when you start businesses, and at the time, it wasn't really popular enough to get on the government's radar. So when they did try to sort of throw a spanner in the works, we were established enough where we had our regular customer base. I think if we were to start after they started trying to regulate it and build our customer base from scratch, it would have been harder. But thankfully, we were already kind of up and running by that point where we could stay in business. But it put a lot of people out of business. So a lot of
You put a lot of people out of business.
No, not us. The whole the regulation thing.
The vape shop in
I
Hong
wouldn't
Kong
say
is
that.
they are just the mafia. You guys just take everyone. I mean, he's an all black. Of course, it looks like him, man.
I was just telling him earlier. I was like, I wish he got the memo. All black's my jam. We could have been all been matching. I love wearing all black.
I am naturally like that. So.
Only he can say it, right?
Now you just picture me naked as well, right?
Oh my goodness, bro! I cannot. Ew, no. Okay, your family. I can't. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, just get it. So when I was, I actually clear your minds,
Sorry,
guys.
he's
Clear
like
your
a Ken
minds.
doll.
Clear your
Like,
minds.
just,
When I had first, learned about the shop, because I work with, a mutual friend who shops here. He's a frequent customer, and then one of my UX designers actually used to work with you, so they actually introduced me to the shop. Both them are extremely proud of being customers here, or at least Justin from having worked here, speak very highly of you. So far to say that you are like the leader in Hong Kong, that you are the trendsetter. Everything that you do in this business, people follow.
I appreciate that.
Do you believe it?
I don't know if I'd say that about myself, but I think
Is that just
we
being
were the
humble?
first kind of Western run vape
Right.
shop, and we still are. And I think, as you guys probably know, there's quite a lot of differences in the way we sort of do business, especially retail and customer service.
Yeah.
Coming from Australia, it's a minimum standard, like to have really good customer service. Or you go into a shop like a cafe or anything, you feel really comfortable. Whereas here, I didn't really get that vibe as much. So really, I think the biggest benefit for us was bringing that sort of Western style customer service to here, which enabled us to grow pretty fast.
You could definitely feel it when you walk in here. Can you just go in a little bit more depth about like your vision for the place and how you train your staff and just sort of the vibe you give and get back from your customers?
It's kind of developed over the years. I think I didn't have any experience with business or anything before that, but just little ideas here and there. Like I noticed that at the Apple shop, they don't have any counters,
Right.
Oh,
cashiers.
nice. Yeah.
There's no separation between the staff and the customer. Sit down like this, and I thought that was really cool. So when we set up, we wanted a similar thing. rather than,
I got it. Yeah.
yeah, having this separation and like everything's locked up behind me. A bit more sort of personable with the experience. And a similar thing with there's a book about sort of the growth of Apple too and how they hire and looking at the person and investing in the people rather than who knows the most about these products.
Yeah.
You know, like the technical stuff is easy to teach, but it's not as easy to teach someone to be friendly.
Right,
to be
exactly.
warm.
Soft skills.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've all, go ahead.
Sorry, I actually have another question. So you mentioned about how like the separation of like customers and not having that. So I noticed you've been using the e-payment and things like that, and you have the codes. And on the flip side, when you mentioned earlier about the culture, right? Like Kowloon side said that, culturally, a lot of people are quite transactional, I find, in Asia. And Australia is very much a customer service. So how do you find that's integrated? Where have you taught the locals like, hey, this is more like what customer service is? Is that what made them like it more, or what drew them to you versus other shops?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest reasons
Yeah.
why we've been able to grow as we have. It's weird. We've had some weird reactions from it. Staffing one requires quite a bit of training because we like to have Cantonese staff and local, and sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to teach that way of customer service. With customers, it's funny, when we first started getting local customers, we'd say, have a seat, you want some water, coffee, and they were kind of like a bit suspicious, like why we're offering this stuff.
It's like in New York when you're like, hi neighbor, they're like, why are you looking at me? What do you want from me?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the city is like your neighbors never say hi. We don't talk to each other. It's just like
It's a big city thing, right?
Yeah, it's a big city thing. Like, you
It's
don't
like the
like
90s New York movies, the stigma.
Oh.
Get out of, what are you like, get out of my way. What are you looking at?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
walking
like,
here. I'm
you
walking
Walk
here.
in here.
You offer them water or coffee. They're like, okay, I'm not paying for this. Like,
Sorry.
I did not ask for
Well,
this.
that was one of the things. We'd say, you want a glass of water? They'd be like, oh, how much? It's just like,
Well, there you
man.
go.
Like, I was a bit confused, but then the more I went around the shops here
Yeah.
and realized the cultural differences.
Yeah,
Right.
amazing.
So vaping in general, out in the open, it's not for everyone. Sometimes it's stigmatized. I dabble. A lot of friends dabble. Whether vaping or not, I just personally think that this is a very inspirational business that a lot of people can learn from this business model.
Thanks.
What you've done, you've cultivated this atmosphere. It's very welcoming. Obviously, you're encouraging people. Once again, it's out of frame to sit and hang out. You've got a motorcycle. You have a pull-up bar. You have drinks. You have a coffee machine. I think there's a lot to learn. But we chose to do this with you. I was inspired by this shop. For those of us watching that don't know much about vape, or maybe it's
Yeah.
stigmatized for them, can you tell us a little bit about double question here, sort of the demand that you've noticed for it here in Hong Kong, and the type of, I don't want to say the type of people, but it's like a cultural thing. I think it solves a lot of problems for people. It's not only something to do for fun in a social setting, but for some people it actually solves problems from addictions and such. So could you tell us a little bit about like the customers, the demand, and the cultural sort of stigmas or what have you attached to vaping?
Yeah, you're right. There has been quite a stigma, especially from all the sort of the media and the mixed messages they're spreading. But as far as customers, it's really cool. It's like the demographic can be anyone. It's anyone who smokes, really. So that can be anyone from your 18-year-old uni students to like your 70-plus-year-old expats who've been smoking their whole life. So that's one thing I love about it, is just it's such a broad demographic for our customers. The stigma is going away quite fast. It used to be worse before people really knew about it. You wouldn't see that many people vaping on the streets, and they see a big cloud of vapor come out and they think it's smoke or
Well, can
So-
sorry.
yeah.
I want to ask, so for vaping, what are the top 3 points that you think were stigma and how it overcame? Because I'm still hearing, I vape here and there with Steve, and there are other people that vape, but I think it's just it's very hard to explain why the stigma kind of disappeared, right? Because the points that they made are very valid. So how do you think your business, or how just generally it was able to overcome it?
I think a big part of it is just education. Like that's one thing we stress a lot here too. Is a lot of people coming in have read all sorts of headlines.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad. It's just quite confusing if you try to research it. So a big part of our job is kind of teaching people about it, right? And the main thing is it's called vaping because you're just vaporizing the liquid, right? So if you look at the harmful parts of smoking, it's the smoke itself, like the carbon monoxide, oxygen
Tar,
deprivation.
because there's a lot of tar in cigarettes, right?
Yeah. And the 4,000 plus other chemicals they put in it, whereas with vaping products, it's very transparent, the companies, so we'll kind of walk them through what's in it. There's only 3 ingredients. Just smoking, you're not burning anything, as long as you're using the vape the right way. So we do just as much sort of teaching and education as we do just sales.
Oh, that's good. That's really good, man.
I think one of the times, I don't know the guy's name, so we're protecting any of the innocent, but one of the times I was in here, there was one of your customers was chatting, and what I thought was really interesting was he was like saying that he used to, I think for some reason in my mind it was like, I think he said 4 packs a day, and he's like, he's like, I used to have to wake up in the middle of the night that's how bad it was. So then now this is, in this particular case, this is something that has like actually helped somebody.
Yep.
And so you probably have a lot of stories or customers that have come in and like, this is, in a way, I don't want to like sensationalize it, but like help change their life.
Yeah. Well, it helped change mine for sure. Like I started vaping before there were any studies or tests or anything, and I instantly kind of felt the differences a lot better, like exercise and walking. But
I have one more fact question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So a lot of vaping, I think, interestingly enough, they mentioned it was a lot to do with the inhalation of the sugar. So sugar content in the vapes. So can you tell me more about that? Like, I'm very curious because, as you said, like a lot of times I read stuff, I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will sweeten the juices someplace. So it's usually sucralose. It's called. It's like a liquid sweetener, and it's safe to vaporize at higher temperatures.
Okay.
And then you've just got your flavoring, and then the main ingredient is vegetable glycerin, which is what can be vaporized. So that will carry the flavor. Usually nicotine too, but in Hong Kong that's banned. But that's what heavy smokers, like you were saying, if you're 4 or 5 packs a day, your body's so used to having that nicotine intake where if you just cut it out, it's pretty hard just to cut straight out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ingredients are very simple. Flavoring, sometimes it's sweetened.
Yeah.
Sugar, I'm not too sure if you're actually taking in any sugar.
No,
say.
the article I read basically said that a lot of it is like the sugar residue comes into your lungs. That's what causes the issues that they had, but I don't feel like I personally haven't felt the side effects or anything.
They were also saying things like it's the liquid, it's the sugar, it's the flavor,
it's all
it's this.
sorts.
And I think, as you were saying earlier, that was a lot of the
Headlining.
bigger companies trying to push it down because it's more accessible. You just have to have a USB charger, right? Because you have different types of machines, but they all take a USB, right?
Yeah.
Whereas some people do cigars, or some people do pipes, like some people still actually smoke like a pipe, like Sherlock Holmes and stuff, right?
Sherlock.
And you got to
We can
have
name Skippy
all the necessary equipment, right?
Yeah.
But for this, you just charge the USB, put in a new cartridge, good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely gotten more user friendly over the years too. Like when I started, 7-ish years ago, like you had to do a lot of sort of maintenance to it.
Oh wow, really?
So it's more for people who are actually interested in it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it just wasn't very user friendly. Whereas the more popular it's gotten, the more simple they've made everything. Now, like you said, you just change the cartridge, or just refill it and charge it, and that's it.
Another thing is like it's when somebody craved a cigarette, they would have to smoke the whole cigarette. But if someone needs just a quick puff here or there, just one is done, right? You don't have to finish the whole thing. So that's pretty cool.
That's what I liked about it too, because
Yeah.
you wouldn't always want a whole cigarette. You might just want a few puffs.
That's it.
To get that hit.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
That's it.
technically, you can just share the cigarette, but then in COVID times, you have to be safe. So you
Yeah.
don't share no
You
more.
will.
Or you
We
can
don't share
you
no
can
more.
put it out after a few puffs and have like that
Oh, the
that
cr-
stinky
Oh, yeah.
cigarette.
And then
in your
there's
bag.
some people
Yeah.
that go around and pick them off the ground. We don't have to get to that.
Oh,
Wait,
no,
what?
homeless people to do that
Oh,
though. So I've seen it so
yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's
Okay.
the dark
I-
side of.
I know. Yeah, maybe you want to share something. Yeah.
No,
your
no,
experiences, though, right?
you've never.
I mean,
it's
Steve.
touchy.
Tom
Hey,
will
man.
hook you up.
This is
No, no, no.
You don't need
You
to
don't need
keep
to pick
picking
up-
cigarettes
you don't
up
need
off
to
the
pick up
ground.
cigarettes or
no,
pot.
not me. So speaking of the ease of use, the usability, you were saying plug it into USB. What really interests me is the sort of like, I think people identify, clearly people have to identify with it, because if you look around at all the flavors you have, first and foremost, then you look at like the mods, for example, how many styles you have, how many different like colors, shapes. It's crazy. Like people, they identify with this. Like what is like the cultural impact it's had, and how, what do you sort of see or like observe in terms of how people choose their vapes or the colors and that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's always changing, to be honest. And like you mentioned, you'll have. I'll grab a few down for you.
I was looking at like these bad boys. This is just a sharp looking device,
It's kind of cool. Yeah, yeah.
vape or not. It just looks clean.
Yeah.
So these pretty much account for, I would say, 90%, 95% of our sales. It used to be these types, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
You've
look at
all
that.
seen the.
A charger.
Yeah.
Like a battery pack,
Yeah, like a battery pack.
like
so,
like this.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
a more portable one, right?
So these, quite a bit of maintenance, whereas, but that used to be kind of the best way to get good flavor and a good amount of, you can drop it if you like, don't worry. It's
built like a
Everyone
tank.
else does, yeah.
Is this
It looks
actual?
like a tank.
Is this actual leather?
I don't believe so. I hope not.
It's USB Type C though.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the new ones will do that. But, I mean, this used to be the only way to get a good amount of flavor and a good
Yeah.
hit, right? Because the small ones would always burn out too easily or the battery would die
what was
quickly.
the jewel, the very rectangular one, that one burns out. It's actually quite moody.
Yeah.
So like burn out really warm,
Moody.
or like you get no flavor, and then you just get the burnt heat on
Yeah.
your tongue. Yeah, which obviously like that. These have been the trying yours actually the boxy one's very smooth consistently, whereas my pods like the stick one that I have, still the pods like even if I get a new one, sometimes I can't get a pull out of it, and I'm like that it's fully charged. Yeah.
Well, George, they were kind of the first ones to do it's called pod systems, the small vapes
Yeah.
that still feel really strong. Because
Yeah.
they would put a lot of nicotine in their pods,
Yeah.
which caused quite a bit of controversy with
The purpose of it.
And their marketing, they were quite aggressively marketing
Yeah.
with celebrities, sponsorships,
Yeah.
and to teenagers. So they did kind of give the vaping industry a bit of a bad name, but for like product development, it was a pretty big step because
Yeah.
now they can make the small ones where they are good. They give you a good amount of flavor and
Yeah.
a good hit and don't burn out. So people don't want to be carrying around
A
these
USB
ones.
battery pack.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. It's very, very obvious. You know, with these ones, you can just sneak a little puff.
Right. Very
In
discreet
the
ones.
NPR station.
Although I will say this, do not do these on any aircraft. It is still illegal to smoke these on aircraft. So we're saying is you can have a little puff, but in certain areas, please do not do it because you will be fined accordingly. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public service.
This is why you come to the vape shop.
I had a passenger try and do it. We got her arrested. Like literally armed
Really?
police, and
Really?
it's
Idiot.
illegal. Yeah.
All right, I
And
mean
she was
that's just common
she was
sense.
like, oh, but like my boyfriend, I haven't had a puff in like 16 hours. It's like,
That sounds like a personal
I mean,
problem.
So why did you get on an airplane? This is a you thing right now. And she's like, oh, but please, I just flew over from Chicago. I was like, hey,
Right.
the law's the law.
Yeah.
Armed police took her off. And
Yeah.
So one of the cabin crew saw her, or she
passenger
was in the
actually took a
bathroom?
video. And
Really?
said, is that
Really?
person smoking? And we're like, yes,
Yep.
they're smoking.
All right. That's interesting. I've noticed that they'll include it in
Yeah, that's right.
the briefing now.
It generates heat. And so,
Yeah.
it is considered.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. You
Yeah.
know, you got to be respectful. And some people just don't want smoke around them, whether or
That's
not
it.
it's
You gotta
vape or
respect other people.
vapor. Yeah.
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 So these form factors, these colors, these designs, it's crazy. It seems like they're built for people of all different walks of life. And yeah, in my observations, just being here a handful of times, I've seen like so many different types of people that like even like you wouldn't expect, like little old ladies coming in here.
I'm not old.
So you obviously people.
I'm right here.
And you're on fire
But
today.
your feet are little though, right?
My feet are very little.
That's a different show. We'll talk about feet. That's our next episode is feet.
Good-looking feet.
But you see a lot of different people coming in and out. So stigmatized or not, there's a lot of different people that do this for various reasons. You were mentioning to me that you have like really interesting customer base that come here, and the way you've built this is for people to sit down and have a chat with you. You were mentioning that you had a lot of customers coming in from parts of the world, really interesting stories. There was one that you were telling me about, somebody from like Nepalese jail breaking out. Could you tell us some, like one of the more interesting stories you've heard?
Yeah, that guy's really cool, actually. He was, apparently, I think it was in the 80s, a lot of the English teachers weren't getting paid much. Right?
Yeah.
So one of their side hustles was smuggling gold.
Sorry, guys.
I believe it was between Nepal and Hong Kong. But all the English teachers were doing it as a side gig, right?
Wow.
To get paid cash. And I guess one day whoever was running the show didn't pay off the Nepalese enough, so they were like, okay, so we'll take one person from each nationality to make an example. Like he was a Frenchman, had a Brit, an Aussie, an American. And they locked them up for like a good few years, I think. But yeah, that's nothing to do with vaping, but it's the type of customers. Yeah, it can be anyone, which is cool. Which a lot of stories people you usually wouldn't socialize with or have any reason to run into each other.
Actually, you know what you did? You built a community around the vaping.
Right.
So, like you
cool,
brought
yeah,
people
it's
together
nice.
from different walks of life, just from like one common interest, which would be vaping. You've got a community, so you're somewhat of a leader in the industry.
You don't even have to like. It seems like. And by the way, this is no endorsement. We're just doing this because we think it's interesting. You don't really have to even vape to sort of like enjoy your time in here.
Yeah.
Over in the corner, you can't see it off frame. You got some gentlemen working on a motorcycle.
B-roll.
With B-roll, you have a coffee machine here for those that just want to chill. You have like a huge selection of these awesome craft drinks.
And we've got pop-ups.
So these stories. This story is a testament to the sort of business that you've built, the atmosphere that you've cultivated and created. I don't know where our producer went.
Producer.
Yeah, I don't know.
In my head, we're coming to the Tom. What I'm
Conclusion.
interested in hearing, as we wind down the episode, I would personally be interested in hearing what tips you would share with new entrepreneurs, small business owners, in creating a business. Some of the things that have really worked for you. What tips would you share?
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys made a good point about community building, and that's something I've tried to focus on over the years. Rather than bring people in and just try to sell them something, it's say how much value can you create for your customers. And the more I focus on that, the more I've realized it's less about the products and more about the environment and the community. Because we have such a large demographic, I feel like a lot of vape shops specifically kind of limit themselves in having their shop like in America. That's the oldest sort of industry. All the vape shops there have a very sort of like bro-ish hangout, like lounge, Xbox, neon lights, like glass, which is cool. But
I think seedy is the word. That's the word I'm looking for.
Or even in Amsterdam, right? Like that's a massive thing. It's always like quite like the.
I don't know. It'd be awesome.
Don't even.
Yeah.
You travel so much. You are such a travel bug. But like a lot of places there that they make it quite like, bro-ish. But this is like a very safe space, like very open. Just anyone's welcome. You bring a pup, you bring a motorbike to fix. You can just do anything
Yeah,
here.
can I
Just
bring
be
my bike
yourself.
to fix? Can you fix my bike?
Something
the
for
bike,
everyone.
the bike thing just started as free parking, to be honest. I live down the street, but it turned out to be a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
Is again another thing for your customers to chat about. We don't want them to feel like we're just here to take their money and give them stuff. We're
Take
here
my
to hang
money.
out with them and chat
Take it.
about it. I mean, we are a business at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? But it's same like the drinks and having these these loss leaders, they call it, stuff that won't necessarily make you money, like the gaming stuff, the drinks and everything, but it just adds value for people. They may want to come back more because they know they'll be comfortable and they can hang out. So a bit less about, focus on what to sell them, more just creating a cool sort of environment for people to hang out.
Cool. And where can people? This is your pitch moment. Where can people find you?
We're on Instagram, Facebook, the Vape Shop HK, tvshk.com. We can't do a lot of advertising. They won't allow any paid advertising, so you'll never see a sponsored post from it, or Facebook ad, Google ad. But that's another reason word of mouth's been such a big thing for us, because we don't have any other outlets for advertising.
Right.
So word of mouth or social media is the biggest thing for us.
Check them out on social media, IG. There's a eShop. Come in for yourself.
Physically come in.
If you're on the island, I haven't been to the TST one. I don't know. This is awesome.
We should make a field day trip to the TST version.
Feel free.
Field trip.
So
School bus.
the Magic
Oh my
School
God!
Bus.
Yes, Magic School Bus.
No
I'm in.
vaping on the bus though.
Absolutely not.
No.
No vaping on the Airbus.
So
Ah.
we're making a concerted effort to tighten the shows up, keep it down. I think that we're going to wind down from here. This brings us to the end of this episode. Tom, it has been fantastic. This is our
Thanks
first.
for having me, man.
Congratulations on being our first away game, our first
Thank you very much.
non-homie guest. No, you're a homie. He's part of the universe now. You're
Now
officially a
you
homie.
are.
We dub you
Appreciate
a
that.
homie.
Here.
The latest and greatest. Thanks so much for joining us on the MidYouth Universe Saga series. You guys have to remind me on the sign out. Everyone keeps
I
trying
got
to
this.
instill a sign out.
I've got the sign out, guys. Come find us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. It's called MidYouth Universe. And what's our tagline again? We talk about experience, not
We
expertise.
talk experience, not expertise.
Well, there you go. I got corrected.
All right. Signing off from Sighing Pun Vape Shop. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I want to pick your brain more a bit. Somewhere. Yeah.